Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Alahayanawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Alahayanawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Alahayanawa Yahweh Achad Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahashur Chahagodash. We want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. On Zahar, Spirit, Wind, Lawyer. And today I want to go into a topic entitled Eve is a weapon and a false god. Our Eve is a false god and a weapon. Okay? And the reason why I'm going into this is because, based off feminism and our women adapting feminism and being persuaded that they didn't need a man and they had equal rights, and that evolved, that morphed instead of them really thinking they're better than us. And if you look at Eve in a Western context, she doesn't exist as a family. She doesn't exist as a collective. She exists as an individual. All right. She has a I am mentality. All right. A lot of so-called black women subscribe to being the Most High. All right. They don't say, all right, they're gods anymore. They say they are God. All right. A lot of niggas, a lot of simps, manginas, they will say the black woman is God. All right. And just how, all right, was it the Philistines? They had Dagon sitting up in the temple, all right, in their temple, just sitting there idle. That's what Eve is. That's why she charges men to date her. She charges men to marry her. I mean, if you have to pay 100%, they criticize Jake. They criticize Jake because he wants to pay 50-50. He wants to go half when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to a living situation. And she says it's all or nothing. If you can't pay 100%, then, you have no business being with her, and that's going to justify her cheating or whatever. You're just a roommate. But you know why she thinks that shit? Because she's an idol. She's a false god. So just like people, the heathen, they cherished having idols in their possessions. All right? Having idols in their possessions. All right, the dragon, Baal, Dagon, but it just sit there idle. That's what Eve wants to do. She wants to sit there idle, all right, in your habitation and just exist. And you're basically paying to have that idol, all right, that deity in your existence, because she really believes she's a deity. All right? She really believes that you having her in your possession, that's the prize. That's the same excitement that the heathen had when it came to having an idol in their possession. All right, and Jake adopted that mentality as well. All right, because you had men of Ephesus, craftsmen of Ephesus, who made idols of was it Diana? And of course the Apostle Paul condemned that idol through teaching Yahweh Bahashim Hawashai, and their response was, we have no God but Diana. And a lot of Jakes feel that when they say the black woman is God, they're saying we have no God but Diana. All right? And in theory, you're supposed to, honor or give respect to your women, but that's when they are in their order as a woman, not as some freaking deity. Okay? But once again, Eve has this mentality that, if you want to date me, my rent costs this much, my bills cost this much, my hair costs this much, because she's an idol. She believes she's a god. All right? And apparently there are Jakes that subscribe to that feed into her delusion of grandeur. That feed into her hubris. Okay? But, in real time, a woman has to be an asset. You don't just pour into her and spoil her because she exists in your world now, but she's sitting there idle doing nothing. All right, you see, and the way we know that she's a false god, all right, well, for one, you're born human. But secondly, you pass gas, you have bowel movements, you stink, your breath stinks in the morning. All right, and the thing that you call yourself a prize for, all females of all species have that same capability. All right, females of all species give birth. They don't make you some moon goddess, all right, some divine feminine. All females of all species give birth. And the things that you flaunt, all right, women of all nations have that, all right. Most women of all cultures, most women of different cultures, they're health conscious, they're fit, all right. They're health conscious, they're fit, man. All right, they're naturally pretty. Women of other cultures, they're naturally pretty. All right, they got good skin. They're cordial. All right, they're normal. They're normal women. But if you have those same attributes, all of a sudden you're some goddess. And I understand our people have been beat down so much that you want to lift our people up. But no, Eve has been lifted up so high that she can't help but to look down on you. The problem is, Jake, you did not get lifted up. You see? So Eve is an enchantment. All right? She's a false god. All right? Once again, she really thinks that if you have her in your possession, it's a price for that. And that's the same way the heathen, they feel some, all right? And sit there idle, and that's what Eve wants to do. She wants to sit there idle, and you just pay. You pay for everything. You cover everything, right? Because she believes she's a god. All right. But we don't idol worship over here. We don't woman worship over here. You honor your woman, or in the sense that you respect your woman. All right. But it's in her orders, within her order. All right. And a brother has a scripture that I quickly glanced at where it says, give not thy strength to women. All right? We have to pour into ourselves. Something that I heard Bobby Price say, Dr. Bobby Price, he said, you can't pour into someone else's cup if your cup is empty. And that's real talk. You can't pour into someone else's cup if your cup is empty. You see? So one thing I realized as a man, and I learned as a man, like you gotta work on your priorities. All right, but even when you work on your priorities, and let's say you get some income, do you spend it all on a woman, or you don't spend it all on a woman? Do you look at these jakes that's in the NBA or in the NFL, and they're like 19, 20, 21, 22, and there was some 38-year-old IG model. What the fuck is an IG model? It's an idol. She just an idol. She's standing in the stead of the Queen of Heaven in her online temple on display where you could drop roses by. Also known as sending her a cash out money through cash out. Okay? But when those men who have a little money, they date her, they're just borrowing the idol. They're just walking with their day gun. Walking with their Queen of Heaven statue, sitting in their living room, and they're paying, all right, until she disposes them. Okay? And Carl Jung, the psychologist, which I believe he went way harder than this weirdo. So like my memory slips me more than time apparently. He went way harder than the other famous psychologists, but Carl Jung, he basically theorized that all men have what they call the animus, in our imaginations, and it's basically the fantasy of a woman in our mind, and we take that fantasy and we project it on women. So what you see when you see a woman is not her, is what you're projecting on a woman. And Esau took that and exploited that, man. All right? And I believe that's where you get the nice guy concept or the simp concept, because if you're a simp, you're really probably projecting something on that woman that's inconsistent with the reality of who she is. And America can do that if you're not careful. We can do that to you. Because most movies make the woman the prize. Right? They play into their programming. Alright, but Eve, alright, she has no use for the nation. She didn't benefit her nation. She's a hyper individualist. Okay? But all in all, she's a false god, man. And now men are being exposed for pandering to women. And it's just that they're playing into this narrative, this Diana narrative. We have no God but Diana. All right, like this guy Yoda. All right, and there's the other YouTuber. They really pour into the woman, but they never turn around and have multiple women in real life, or else quote unquote cheat on their woman in real life. But they pander to women, and they play into that. The woman is innocent. You know, she's a victim. You shouldn't deal with a woman unless you can pay for everything. They play into that. All right? But the reality is, and the harsh truth is that value of that woman has been long gone before we met her. All right? Because most Eve is not domestically oriented. All right? Then most of them are not virgins. So what Esau did, and Kevin Samuel said this, he just took women and remarketed them. He repackaged them and sold them back to us at a very high price. You know? Once again, the same thing that Eve flaunts on social media and in real life. All the women of all the nations have those same qualities. You know, we're talking about physical. But they have that with femininity. They have that along with femininity. You see? But, I mean, that's the point, you know. You know, that's pretty much the point, man. You know, it's not about them, it's about us. All right? The prize of the Most High was man. It was Adam, which was the progenitor of the Israelite. That's the prize. But the Most High delighted in Adam, and he said, it is not good for man to be alone. Let me find him a helpmeet. And our glory is the woman. And we do like a beautiful woman of all shapes, sizes, nationalities. We love that. But right now, Eve is not in alignment with us. And she's not in accordance with us, man. Okay? But ultimately, the Most High's prize, his glory is the Israelite man. All right? And ultimately, it's Adam. It was Yahushua. All right? But once again, he made that woman for us because the woman was a part of the world. He made the world for us. He made the world for the Israelite man. See, we're getting that mindset back where we understand that it's about us. You know, you pour that energy into yourself first. You know, you self-care. You know, you get in tune with your power, whose name is Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua. You get in tune with your power. Okay? You know, you study, you read, you get into the Word. Because one thing this truth does, especially if you are amongst the brotherhood, it makes you feel good about being you outside of worldly possessions. You know? Because Eve is really an Edomite supremacist. And she reinforces the Edomite narrative that as an Israelite, who you are is not enough. And whatever she values in you is probably a perversion. I.e. your ride, your reproductive organ, all right? Your height, which is really just vain. all right, or your money, your status, but none of your actual virtues and qualities is valued by her. All right, and I personally perceive most Eve as like a plantation female because basically she on a subtle and not so subtle level, she wants you to feel like you have no value. So areas where Esau could not reach you in terms of oppression, he programmed Eve to reach you in terms of oppression, even if it's psychological. You see? But it's all just part of that oppressive matrix. It's not reality. Because the man is hated the most. All right. That's the most superior. It's a reason why Trump, which is really he's doing the biddings of the elite. It's the reason why they want the Issacharites gone, the so-called Haitians gone, the so-called black man locked up. It's a reason why. All right, because we are Yahweh's Bahashim Yahushai's sons on this planet Earth. All right, and the elites know it. They know it on the vessel. We know it on the spiritual level, but the elites know it on a very archaeological, historical level. He knows who we are. He knows that we're connected to that man in the sky, so to speak. You know, he does everything in his will to keep us disconnected from that power in the sky. All right? It terrorizes the nations. All right? He knows that we're that nation that, all right, walk through that sea. All right? With the fathership hovering over us, which is Yahushai. He knows we're those people. All right? So we bring terror to Esau. So he has to keep us, all right, disconnected from our power. And all these different things you've heard about the Israelite man, they're all just lies here to keep us oppressed on a psychological level. And it worked because a lot of Israelites have low self-esteem. All right? Because Esau constantly pushed this narrative that something is wrong with you. All right? And he weaponized our women to oppress the Israelite man. Because one thing about being an Israelite man, a so-called black man, so-called black, Hispanic, Native American man, all right, it's about you feeling good about yourself. It's about that inner man, that hidden man. When you feel good about yourself, your confidence is up, your morale is up, man. You feel like you can take the world. But the thing about it, if you feel like you could take the world, man, you could take the world. The power is in your mind. Whatever Esau attacks, that's what you need to study. And Esau attacks your confidence. And he weaponized our women to do the same thing, to attack your confidence. That's why she gives microaggressions, you know? And Eve, she really is offended by Israelite men's confidence. All right? She's really offended by that. And she does the biddings of the elite by making an effort to destroy your confidence, man. Right? So are you thinking on a carnal level that this dumb shit really matters, like the money Esau? You gotta have a certain amount of Esau's money. You gotta have a certain height, you know? But you shouldn't be fooled by that stuff, man. That's just another oppressor. Eve is another oppressor. Okay? Out here in Niggerville, coming from the nigger village, man. But look what she created in her environment. She created a mess. All right? Scripture says, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. You know? Her spirit is dead. Her soul is dead, man. Okay? That's what the Roman Empire does. It allows you to indulge in pleasure, but spiritually you'll be dead. Okay? But, you know, it's pretty much the point. No point of just prolonging the lesson. That I hope you were edified. Till the next time. Shalom.